A very good evening to all of you and welcome to the national news broadcast on ChannelEye. We are ready to bring you the top stories from home and around the world. I'm Natalia Vivardhana.
Good evening. I am Lakshitendra Singh. To start off, let's take a look at the headlines for tonight.
The government focuses attention to expedite solar power generation. Ranil Wickramasinghe back to the parliament. The Prime Minister instructs heads of banks to grant relief to debtors in recovering payments. A possibility on an increase in the spread of corona infections in remote villages in India. The Samagi Janabalawega is to move a no-confidence motion against Minister Udaya Gammampila. A meeting between US and Russian leaders.
And on the top story for tonight, measures have been taken by the government to increase the contribution by renewable energy sources to the national power grid by enhancing solar power generation. This has been initiated as per the national policy framework Vistas of Prosperity and Splendor. A key plan of the government is to generate solar power by obtaining the contribution of state-owned buildings, places of worship and houses of the low-income families. It is expected to provide financial benefit to low-income households and curtail the expenses incurred by the state institutions for electricity from the project. Steps will also be taken to provide facilities to store solar energy in batteries for the low-income families that are unable to access the national power grid. The project also includes generating power by installing floating solar panels as a solution to land scarcity. Under the first phase of this, plans have been initiated to generate electricity required for the parliament, centering the Devanna Lake as a model project. The government of India, one of the main stakeholders of Sri Lanka for this project, has entered into a bilateral loan agreement by agreeing to grant a line of credit amounting to $100 million through the Export-Import Bank of India. The agreement for the line of credit signed by the Sri Lankan government and the Export-Import Bank of India was exchanged between Finance Secretary S.R. Artikala and Indian High Commissioner Gopal Bagle in the presence of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and State Minister Duminda Dissanayake at the Presidential Secretariat this morning. Foreign Secretary Admiral Janath Kolambage, Ministry of Power Secretary Vasantha Perera and the officials of the Indian High Commission and the Finance Ministry were also present.
The Election Commission has been informed today on the appointment of Ranil Wickramasinghe to the vacant post of Nationalist MP of the United National Party, secured at the last parliamentary election. The name of Wickramasinghe to the post was informed by UNP General Secretary Palitha Rangebandara. The UNP managed to gain only a single nationalist post at the last general election. The post has remained vacant for a period of nearly 1 year. The UNP Working Committee has decided recently that former Prime Minister Ranil Wickramasinghe should be named for the post. The Election Commission says that necessary measures will be taken to gazette the name of Ranil Wickramasinghe. Ranil Wickramasinghe is a senior politician who has held several ministerial positions after first entering the parliament representing the Biagama electorate at the 1977 general election. He was the Minister of Education and Youth Affairs in the government of late President J.R. Jayawardena. He was appointed to the UNP leadership in 1995 upon the death of Gamini Dissanayake. He held the post of Prime Minister on 4 occasions and also held the post of Opposition Leader for more than 16 years. Ranil Wickramasinghe has also been functioning as the leader of the UNP for a period of over 25 years.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has instructed central bank officials to follow appropriate measures to minimize the problems caused in recovering loans from the general public. He made these remarks at a discussion held at the Temple Trees today. The meeting was conducted to discuss on the current economic situation. The central bank representatives have expressed opinion regarding vigorously maintaining local economy in the face of the COVID pandemic. Special attention of the President has been focused on the problems faced by the people who have obtained loans. It has been pointed out that some debtors were not being able to repay their debt due to the payment of the interest prior to the payment of the installment. Therefore, attention has been focused at the discussion on the importance to prepare a methodology that would enable to reduce the interest as well as the loan installments simultaneously. in the repayment process. There had been instances of debtors losing their residences as a result of placing their houses as a form of guarantee in obtaining loans. The Prime Minister has pointed out on the need to change this methodology as a humanitarian gesture towards the debtors. State Minister Ajit Niwad Cabral, Prime Minister's Secretary Gamini Senarath, Head of the Prime Ministerial Staff Yoshitha Rajapaksa and Governor of the Central Bank Professor W.D. Lakshman have also taken part in the discussion.
The COVID immunization program is being implemented successfully throughout the island. 97,442 doses of the vaccine were inoculated yesterday. A total number of 3,027,654 persons have been inoculated up to yesterday. The second dose of the Covishield vaccine was also given to 294 persons yesterday. The number of persons who have received the first dose of the Sinopharm vaccine yesterday amounts to 33,552. 63,596 persons have also received the second dose of the Sinopharm vaccine yesterday. 1,631 COVID-19 patients were detected in the country today. Meanwhile, 1,667 patients left the hospitals today following recovery. Accordingly, the total recoveries in the country has increased up to a total of 194,145. 33,427 COVID-19 patients are still receiving treatments in hospitals. Director General of Health Services has confirmed that 55 COVID-related deaths were reported on the 14th of this month. Minister Professor G.L. Piris says that the aim of the government is to immediately reopen the schools, giving priority on the safety of health of school children. A discussion with specialist physicians was also held at the Ministry of Education today on the preparation of a methodological background for the reopening of the schools. The health divisions reiterate that it is essential for the adults to follow every health guideline in order to prevent from the affliction of the COVID-19 disease. A stock of equipment including 2 PCR machines presented to Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa by the People's Leasing and Group of Finance companies affiliated to the People's Bank has been handed over to several hospitals today. The event in this connection has taken place at the Temple Trees. The value of the items is estimated at 25 million rupees. They were distributed according to the recommendations of the Ministry of Health. Among those who have attended the ceremony were Minister Pavitra Vanyarachi, Prime Minister's Secretary Gamini Senarath, Chairman of the People's Leasing and Finance Group of Companies Sujiva Rajapaksa and Chief Executive Officials Shaminda MacLean. A stock of essential medical equipment for use in COVID-19 treatment centers was brought to the island from the state of Kuwait today. The value of the items has exceeded 300 million rupees. They were handed over to Sri Lanka by the government of Kuwait and the Kuwaiti Red Cross. The Sri Lanka Red Cross has dispatched the stocks to the Drugs Manufacturing and Regularizing Ministry. Necessary beds to the COVID-19 treatment unit at the Tangol Base Hospital and the Beliatta Ayurvedic Hospital were donated today. Minister Namal Rajapaksa has participated in the event. The beds were donated by the Hambantota District Sri Lanka Pudujana Engineering Peramuna Association. An oxygen machine through the aid of the Malaysia Welfare Service Association was also donated to the Tangol Base Hospital. The value of the machine is 1,260,000 rupees. 325 beds have been donated to the health divisions by the Water Supply Board today. The beds have been made at the Water Supply Board workshop in Maligawa Road, Ratmalana. Minister Vasudeva Nanayakkara and State Minister Sanath Nishant also took part in the presentation ceremony. 2 PCR machines were also contributed to the hospitals in Puttalam and Maravilla yesterday. The value of the items was 12 million rupees. Northwestern Province Governor Raja Kollure has presided over the event. An intercommunication unit valued at 1.5 million rupees was provided to the COVID-19 treatment centre in Randhya Foundation, Verallavatta Gampaha yesterday. A group including Minister Prasanna Ranatunga was present on the occasion. Necessary garment kits and oxygen facilities as well as beds and other equipment were presented to the nurses at the Angoda Infectious Disease Hospital today. It was a donation from the student leaders and youth unit of the Devi Balika Vidyalaya in Colombo. The police say that 1,411 persons who have breached the health guidelines have been arrested in the 24 hours that ended at 6 a.m. today. So far, 35,360 violators of quarantine laws have been taken into custody.
Deputy Director General of Health Services Dr. Hemantha Herath requested the public to adhere to basic hygienic practices in an effort to curb the further spread of the COVID-19 outbreak in the country. He made these remarks while speaking to the media today.
There has been concern raised with the emergence of new variants, especially the newest variant that is reported from different parts of the world, the concerns have been raised as to whether the immunization will be a successful weapon to combat this issue. I would say that emergence of a new variant itself is not a major concern as far as the vaccination effectiveness, unless these variants are really attacking the defense mechanism that we are going to establish through the vaccination. So therefore, there can be many variants emerging, and genetically they may be slightly different from the main virus. However, they may be sensitive to the vaccination. But what is important is if a new variant become resistant to the vaccination, it will be a major concern. So we do not see these viruses, we do not see the behavior of these viruses as general public. Therefore, we would like to request the public that rather than concerning or worrying about those factors, what we need to do is to make sure that basic hygienic practices are adhered to, and then practicing, so that probability of spreading the disease from us to the others and acquiring the disease from others by us will be minimized.
And now to take a look at the global situation of the pandemic. Remote parts in North Indian region continue to experience the pandemic's toll is worsened by lack of medical facilities, roads and information. Meanwhile, coronavirus has claimed lives of more than 3.8 million people and infected over 177 million globally. India reported more than 62,000 new COVID-19 infections over the past 24 hours. The South Asian country's total COVID-19 case load now stands at 29.63 million, while total fatalities are over 379,000. India added 2,542 deaths overnight. With no proper roads and 2 part-staffed healthcare centers for all 10 villages in the Himalayan valley in India, the pandemic that severely gripped India has caused great anxiety among the area's 16,000 inhabitants. It has been estimated that more than 80% of those living in the valley have had fever symptoms in the past 5 weeks. Meanwhile, in India's capital Delhi, thousands of commuters crowded into vegetable markets and shopping malls, prompting health experts to warn over resurgence in COVID-19 infections in the country. Major Indian cities have begun lifting strict lockdowns as the nationwide tally of new infections has dropped to its lowest level in more than 2 months. Experts have cautioned that the race towards resuming business as usual would compromise vaccination efforts, as only about 5% of all 950 million eligible adults have been inoculated.
Now, in the meantime, an Indonesian town is rewarding elderly residents with live chickens, while Thailand is giving out cows for getting vaccinated for COVID-19 after the initial inoculation campaign saw a low turnout from the public.
In the north of Thailand, they're giving away cows. In rural Indonesia, it's chickens. Governments the world over are offering incentives to encourage reluctant people to get vaccinated for COVID-19. 2 towns in Southeast Asia are opting for livestock. In the Thai district of Mae Cham, 65-year-old Inkem Thongkam rolled up his sleeves for the shot and won a weekly draw for live cattle.
This is the best gift ever from the district chief officer and the people who donated.
There are signs campaigns like this are working. In its second week of the Lucky Draw Prize, sign-ups for vaccines jumped 50%. Each cow is worth about $300, seemingly too good to resist. In Indonesia's Sepanas district in West Java, villagers can hear their rewards chirp nearby. Here, anyone who gets a shot gets a bird in exchange. 67-year-old Asap Sapudan said at first he was unsure about vaccine safety. Myths that the vaccine weren't halal also made him hesitate.
I was afraid that if I was vaccinated, I would die immediately. That was the main reason I was afraid. And I was also worried that this vaccine contained pork.
Officials in Sepanas say it's been a challenge to persuade older residents already afraid of the virus to get inoculated. Data shows only 5% of Indonesians have been vaccinated. less than half the target it's set for the end of this year.
Getting back to more local stories, the Samagi Janabalawegaya has taken measures to bring a no-confidence motion against Minister Udaya Gammanpila in Parliament. The minister has been accused of increasing the fuel prices without the consent of the Cabinet of Ministers. The signing of the no-confidence motion has taken place at the opposition leader's office this morning. General Secretary of the party Ranjit Maduma Bandara and other parliamentarians of the SJB Lakshman Kiriyalla and Tissatta Nayaka were also present on the occasion. Minister Udaya Gammanpila said that he has received a copy of the no-confidence motion from an MP who has signed the proposal. He added that it was like a letter of a minor. Minister Gammanpila added that the opposition leader issuing a statement said that it is not Gammanpila but the government that must resign. Even under such circumstances, he added that a group of opposition MPs are filing charges against him, instead against the government. The minister further said that this shows that the opposition MPs have no confidence on their leader. Therefore, he said that this is not actually a no-confidence motion against him, but against the opposition leader himself. Minister Chamal Rajapaksa says the government has prepared a program to provide necessary organic fertilizer to the farmers prior to the forthcoming Maha season. The minister, addressing the National Coordinating Agricultural Subcommittee of the Presidential Task Force on the Economic Revival and Poverty Alleviation yesterday, has further pointed out that the time has come to eliminate the chemical fertilizer mafia. The committee meeting was conducted via online technology. The attention has been focused on this occasion on the preparation of an island-wide strategy to locally manufacture organic fertilizer. Attention has also been focused on this occasion on the need to manufacture fertilizer with the appropriate composition of quality needed for the vegetable and potato cultivations. It has also been pointed out that direct state intervention would pave the way for more progress in fertilizer production. A request has also been made from all institutions on the implementation of a specific program to hand over to the farmers the results of research being carried out by numerous institutions on the application of organic fertilizer. Substances which cause harmful effects on soil should not be used to enhance the quality of the fertilizer. Aquatic plants could also be used in the domestic organic fertilizer manufacturing. Minister Mahindananda Alutgamage, Mahinda Amaraveera, S.M. Chandrasena and C.B. Ratnayaka, as well as state ministers Shashindra Rajpaksha, Siripala Gamlat, Anuradha Jayaratna, Vimalaveera Disanayaka, Kanaka Herath and Janaka Vakumbura have also attended the meeting. Crops are now being cultivated throughout the island using organic fertilizer. Even tea planters in Kadurugasena Gaul have joined the farmers using the variety of fertilizer. Minister Ramesh Patirana has inspected a fertile tea cultivation actively engaged in the application of organic manure. Minister Patirana has reiterated the importance of using organic fertilizer hereafter in every crop cultivation.
Local representative of the shipping company of Express Pearl ship was released on bail upon being produced before the High Court this afternoon. Chairman of the Sea Consortium Lanka Private Company Arjuna Hettiarachchi was earlier arrested by the Department of Criminal Investigation over the fire that had taken place in the vessel Express Pearl. Hettiarachchi has appeared before the CID along with his attorneys at law this morning. When he was produced before Colombo High Court Judge Damit Thotawatha, he was ordered to be released on a cash bail of 100,000 rupees and 2 surety bails of 1 million rupees each. The passport of the suspect was also impounded and ordered to be handed over to the judiciary. Further hearings on the case are scheduled to be reconvened on the 1st of next month. The Peradeniya University has invented a special method to remove the chemicals mixed with fuel on the burnt ship Express Pearl. A group of scientists headed by Senior Professor of the Faculty of Chemistry of the University, Gamini Rajapaksha, have discovered the process of dissolution of the impurities through research based on application of graphite. The graphite material, of which its structure has been altered, are sprinkled on floating oil layers of seawater. Professor Gamini Rajapaksha points out that 1 gram of graphite has the capacity to absorb around 120 grams of fuel. He adds that the relevant patent rights on the research have been acquired. The Peradeniya University has been extended assistance in the experiments by the National Education Institute, the Bogala Graphite Company and the Sri Lanka Nanotechnology Institute.
Minister Johnston Fernando has inspected progress on the ongoing construction in the Marine Drive project today. It has been identified as early as in the 90s decade that the construction of a marine roadway is the most appropriate alternative to minimize traffic congestion on the Colombo-Galle main road. Accordingly, several stages in the construction of the project were originated in the year 1998. It has been proposed as a remedy to ease daily increasing vehicle transport on the Colombo-Galle main road to connect the Marine Drive with the Port City Development Project. As a result, the exit of the roadway is to be extended to Golf West Green and also to expand the Marine Drive from Dehiwala to Panadura.
And that's all the stories for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow at the very same time. Until then, good night and stay safe.
Good night.